thinking you were going to be a part of that, and then you ended up working with Steve, and then you ended up working with Mitch Ryder. And now, did they ever ask you to join that band?
No, I think I was 26 at that time, or a little younger, and I was too old for them.
That's great.
I don't think they consider it now either.
That's great. Okay.
But,
and we were talking about how you got Buddy Miles to join the Electric Flag.
Right,
Now, was Nick in the mix by then?
Nick was already in San Francisco looking for places for us to stay.
That's what he told me.
And setting it up, because Nick was firmly planted
in Mill Valley,
in Mill Valley in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So Michael came to me, and I was doing a lot of session work in New York with John Hammond and other people.
Right.
And he proposed this concept that he had of all American music, like putting it all together. So now, anyway, that sounded great to me, because I was really into R&B and other forms of music, of course, the blues.
Right.
So we said, well, now we got a drummer. And Buddy agreed to be in the band. So we had the rhythm section, and we got the horn player from the Twist band I was in.
Okay.
Peter Strasser.
Right.
And Marcus Doubleday, who was a trumpet player and a jazz trumpet player.
Right.
So that was the horn section, and Herbie Rich.
Right. So you had 3 horns.
We had 3 horns. And where are we going to do this band? And Michael said, San Francisco, because it's the new place for music.
Right.
That's where everybody's, the Woodshed.
Right.
And Albert Grossman, our manager, has a gig for us. Our first gig was playing the Monterey Pop Festival.
Wow.
So there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I bet.
To get ready for that, a new band.
Right.
And at that time, some of the band guys were into heavy drugs.
Right.
Including myself.
Yeah. Now were both you and Mike into heavy drugs at that point?
At that point, Michael not so much, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was getting worse and worse, and Marcus was already there. Jazz trumpet player.
Right. Yeah.
So half the band was, on that. The other one was on psychedelics. So the two shall never meet. It's really a different trip altogether.
Totally.
But the pressure didn't help either.
Right. The record company pressure and management.
And Michael was getting more irritable.
Yeah.
Because of his insomnia, because it was Michael Bloomfield's Electric Flag.
Right.
I'm sure it was, he would have been better off with just the Electric Flag. He didn't like the spotlight.
Yeah.
He would, if it was up to him, he'd sit in his room all day and all night watching Johnny Carson. That was his favorite thing to do.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
So anyway, we really rehearsed our arrangements. We had really complicated arrangements for some of the songs, even though it was R&B.
Right.
It's still difficult. The parts, the horn parts, the keyboards, the guitar, and focusing on Michael's soloing. And we had 2 great singers in the band, Nick Gravenitis and Buddy Miles.
Right. Did you already know that Buddy could sing when you saw him with Wilson?
No.
Wow. So that was kind of just a stroke of luck. Yeah.
Yeah. And Buddy was a great singer.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, God, man.
Yeah.
And at that time, really easy to get along with.
Right. But I know later on, him and Bloomfield, it sort of became a real kind of wrestling match.
Like the guy that created the monster.
Exactly. I love the stories about Bloomfield and how, when Buddy would take over the shows, he just didn't want to have any part of it.
No.
Yeah, he was ready to walk off or whatever.
Yeah. It was, it was okay because he was good at it, Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anything that the crowd loved, to me, it was good. You know?
Right.
So it was just an extra bonus having that. And then you couldn't, Michael just was there no matter what. You
Right.
know?
Right. So you must have had a lot to do with the arrangements and stuff like that, along with Bloomfield and
songwriting. And
yeah, the songwriting and arrangements and
yeah.
and,
I mean, we did before that. We did a warm-up album called The Trip.
oh right, in L.A. down here,
LA,
yeah,
with Jack Nicholson was the director,
Right.
and Peter Fonda and Dennis
Right.
Hopper. And,
yeah. Raffleson wasn't Bob Raffleson?
Yeah, Bob Raffleson.
Did he have something to do with that?
And that was interesting because we had full reign to do whatever we wanted,
Right.
create whatever kind
And they had you in some great home in the hills here or something? Or?
of. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
in the Mill Valley.
Well, no, I'm talking about when you did the Trip album, you were like
oh no,
staying.
we stayed at Bela Lugosi's old man.
Right, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, how wild.
Frank Lloyd Wright. You know,
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I remember one night I was sleeping and my room was the whole basement.
Right.
I got the whole eerie basement,
Yeah.
and secret tunnels, and you know. After rehearsals, I just wanted to fall out.
Right.
You know, I didn't explore or go around and find any secret passageways.
Right.
You know, where Bella might come out or something. You know. So one night I was sleeping and I heard this voice, "Darling, how are you?" And I looked up and it was Viva Superstar.
It was who?
Was it Viva?
Nico.
Nico?
Nico.
Yeah,
From the
the
Velvet
big
Underground.
blonde from Andy Warhol.
Oh, okay.
From the Velvet Underground.
Wow.
It's like 6'3", blonde. you
Right.
know,
And she was talking to you at
leaning
night.
over my bed.
Oh,
like,
my
"Darling,
God.
how are you?" I said, you know,
Scared the hell out of you, yeah.
I'm sleeping, please.
That's great. So I heard that went really well. I heard the Trip soundtrack really came out
that
well.
was really great. It was,
Yeah,
Avant music and real modern. And I remember Nick wrote a song called Psyche Soap. Like, you know, that was one of
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of his songwriting as well.
the. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing I wanted to get into is some of these questions that Charlie had, because those sounded like really good stories from you. Is that Charlie Musselwhite and you recorded on the very first Vanguard album
Yes.
that Charlie did, Southside. What is it? Charlie Musselwhite Southside Blues Band or something, I think it was called.
Stand Back.
Stand Back. Charlie Musselwhite's Southside Blues Band. And that was you and Harvey, Fred Below, and Bob Anderson,
Little
right?
Bob Anderson.
Right.
And
Right.
Fred still is the best drummer I've ever played with.
Fred Below.
Blues
Oh,
drummer.
God, yes. Absolutely.
And it just sailed through. Charlie was reluctant to do the record because of Vanguard, you know, burning people and stuff like that, and he didn't care much for the opportunity. I had to go get him
Did you?
from his house, like, and bring him down to the studio. I said, "Come on, man, I can't."
You said he was sleeping or something?
Well, he just wanted to be, you know. I don't want to deal with this, you know. I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
said, it might be something. You know, you never
Yeah.
know. You got to take chances. Like, even though it doesn't feel right. He said, well, you know, Sam and Ann Travers are going to produce it, and they're only going to give us a short period of time. And he said, well, how short? A week? And he said, no, 3 hours. So we had 3 hours.
You know, I'm not real happy with that.
No, that doesn't sound good to me, Charlie said. And
Yeah.
Charlie was just the most sweetest, wonderful guy, and he still is.
Yeah,
you
he
know,
is. He's a great person.
On the face of the earth,
I agree.
and a really down home,
But very,
very
he's super
smart,
sharp guy.
super sharp,
Yes.
super smart,
Yeah.
and down home harp player.
Yeah.
You know, Butterfield was more sophisticated in his playing.
Right. But
And
Charlie was more down home
Charlie
for sure.
was really more down home.
Yeah, he sure was.
Which is probably what I prefer, like, you know.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I mean Charlie, you know, was so tight with like Big Joe Williams, You know, they were both
yeah.
staying in the Delmark basement,
Yeah, Charlie was the
Yeah.
same, man.
Yeah,
he was,
yeah.
You know, he was
just laid back.
a
Yeah.
real laid-back blues guy.
Right, right.
I mean, the real deal.
Yeah, I think Butterfield had a much more kind of ambitious kind of attitude.
Exactly.
You know, Charlie wasn't really bent on
No.
fame, I don't think. Yeah. So, so when you did that session, how did you both know Harvey? Was he your friend, Charlie's
Harvey and I
friend?
played together
Okay.
on the south side of Chicago,
Right.
and we had a gig together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at a Bob one club called the Action to Go-Go
Okay.
on the south side.
Yeah.
And that was a great gig, man. I would do my organ instrumentals, like some Jimmy Smith stuff.
Right.
And it was just great. And Harvey was 16 years old at the time.
Wow.
And he would also play at a club called Twist City with Buddy Guy.
Right. Right. And I think the other guy that played with Buddy was Miller.
Steve Miller.
He played with Buddy
Oh,
too
yeah.
during that. I think at the same club.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have taken the gig after Harvey or something. So the interesting thing is Harvey really, I thought, lent a psychedelicized kind of edge to that album.
He had his style is like no one else.
Right,
And if you don't get him, you just don't get him.
right.
But he's so far out, and he's so heavy and complex, and
Yeah.
and what he does, it's like a guitar player from another planet.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I would watch him. You know, I was completely mesmerized by his playing
yeah.
because I would go that deep. Like
Kind of ahead of its time.
I was into
Yeah,
Yusef Lateef and Coltrane and Charlie Mingus.
right.
And all these far out people. So what he was doing was no one else was doing what he was, even at that time.
Yeah,
And he would start taking a stroll, and I would look over at him, and I'd see antennas coming out of his head. As an alien, he was an alien.
Yeah,
Like he wasn't
that's
on this
great.
planet. Like,
yeah, yeah.
like I think one of his records was called Planetary Warrior or something.
Right, right.
I mean, he wasn't, man. He was like so far out.
Yeah.
And even Hendrix was in awe of Harvey.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, it's funny talking to Fido yesterday. He was talking about, you know, how in a lot of ways Henry Vestine and Harvey were almost kind of like the same, coming from the same place in a lot of ways.
It was a good combination.
Well, I'm just saying that you know, Vestine ended up falling out with Larry Taylor, and that's how Harvey got the gig. And in a lot of ways, that was the perfect guy for that band
That's
because
interesting.
they
That's
were
true.
very similar.
That's true.
And the other guy that Harvey, I didn't know that Henry played with that, what is his name, Albert Ayers, or
Not familiar.
the
with
jazz guy that was real far out from Chicago.
I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, there was a guy, he was playing me these records of Harvey.
Really?
Harvey was with Henry was with Frank Zappa
Wow.
before he was
Henry
with Canned
far out,
Heat.
too.
So, you know, I can really see all these similarities between Harvey and Henry.
Amazing.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that you guys had this album out, and from what I gather, when that album came out, it was kind of really something that was right on the edge of where Butterfield was, and kind of piqued a lot of interest on the West Coast in the same way.
It was critically well received by Downbeat and all. You know,
Right.
Pete Welding and all the great critics, and it was so natural
Yeah.
and easy. The recordings and
Mhm.
laid back, like and it came out in the record, and especially "Come See Me, Baby in the Morning," "Baby," come see me early in the morning.
Early in the morning, yeah.
Baby about to
Yeah.
break a day, man. You ought to saw the pillow where my baby used to lay.
Right, right.
And man, I mean, I love that record.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a
And
classic.
I guess the Stones were listening to that record too, and they chose Harvey to play on a couple of songs.
Interesting. So that's how they heard about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, here's another thing. is Charlie mentioned the thing about having to record it in 3 hours,
Yes.
and how it was so that Sam Charters wouldn't have to pay you guys double time.
Double scale.
Double scale.
That was the nature of the music business then.
Right. So it was like you guys had 3 hours to record this
Right.
album.
People take 6 months to record
Right.
an album, meticulously, and they do things, and we just went in there and played.
Yeah. And then, boom, you had an
And
album.
there was magic.
Right.
And I would say it had a lot to do with little Bob Anderson and Fred Belo.
Well, hell yeah.
They set the groundwork.
Oh yeah.
And it was just so, the groove never faltered.
Right. Right.
It was just
Yeah. Those guys were
just cruising.
magical, man.
Yeah, magical.
Yeah, they really were. Yeah. And so, did Charlie come out to the West Coast after you were already playing in the
I
Flag?
don't remember how that happened, but I guess we all found our homes
You guys all-
on the West Coast.
Yeah. Yeah.
In San Francisco and around the area.
Right.
And Nick, he settled in
Yeah.
Sebastopol,
Right. Yeah. He's an Occidental.
Occidental.
Yeah. Right. Occidentally.
And to me, it was like the Boondocks. I was still
Yeah.
a bit a city boy. You
Yeah.
know. So how could these guys live so
I know.
remote?
Yeah. Same with Elvin too. Elvin's in Lagunitas way out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really, it's rural,
Yeah. Very rural.
very rural, and
But it's a magical place, though.
it
to
is-
me-
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, Marin County, West Marin in particular, is just magical.
It's incredible.
Such a great place
Michael's
to-
wife Susan,
Right.
who's a really still a dear friend, one of our best friends,
Hmm.
would take her. She's a nature woman.
Yeah.
She teaches that in school and everything.
Yeah.
She would take Gail and I on these magical adventures to
That's wonderful.
Tavares Bay and all
Yeah,
these beautiful.
yeah, that's beautiful out there.
And see the elk. There's elk
Right.
somewhere around it.
Yeah.
And it's just great. But for me, I really miss that. But I have to be near a delicatessen.
It's the New Yorker in you.
It's the Chicago, New York.
Chicago, New Yorker.
But
Yeah.
I have to really be. That's my soul food.
Right.
You know.
I can understand that. Yeah. Well, you've had so many successes since then. I mean, besides the Electric Flag. I mean, I know recently you had that group with Stephen Stills and was it Kenny Wayne Shepherd?
Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yeah.
Called The Rides. We did 2 CDs together.
And that did really well,
It
didn't it?
did really, really well. And I experienced the magic that I hadn't experienced since the 60s
Wow.
of being, doing things first class, like,
Mhm.
because of Stephen.
Right.
He's a rock and roll star.
Right.
And wherever he went, it was red carpet.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
And the venues were so. I never had a keyboard tech before,
Right.
so I just would show up, and there would be my keyboards, and if
Right.
the 2 blew, get another organ came immediately in
Yeah.
5 minutes,
That's awesome.
And the places where we stayed and the venues where we played in,
Right.
I was used to making 152 bills a night,
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the bluesman's way. In a
That's
way.
what I was doing, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, for 2 or 3 years, I had this wonderful, comfortable taste
Yeah.
of what it was like to be on another level,
Yeah. That's great.
and I really miss that now.
I bet. Now, did you guys fly into all the gigs? Did you
Yeah.
do that kind of thing where
We
you
had a
satellite?
bus. We had a bus.
You had a bus.
There were
Okay.
3 buses,
All right. Wow.
one for each of us.
Incredible.
And Gail, who travels with me
Yeah.
and is my partner, Gail Goldberg, my wife.
And thank you, Gail, for putting this together.
Of course.
Yeah.
And anyway, we had a little suite in the back of the bus,
That's
like a
wonderful.
big bedroom and a shower,
Right, right.
and everything. They called it the King David suite.
That's wonderful.
And we had to travel with the crew a
Yeah.
lot of times.
Yeah.
But Kenny never got off the bus. He lives on a bus like
Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Wow.
And he's another phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God, he blew my mind so much.
Yeah.
And
So now, how did you end up choosing those musicians? What was the reasoning?
well, I play poker, a lot of poker.
Uh-huh.
So Elliot Roberts, who was a manager,
Oh yeah, I know who he is.
managed
Yeah.
everybody there is to
Right.
Dylan,
Neil Young
the
and-
Eagles, Neil Young,
Right. Yeah.
was playing poker, and he saw on my wall a Super Session album,
Right.
which I played on,
That's right.
and
That's right, because that's Bloomfield, Stephen Stills and you, and
Cooper.
and Cooper and
Right.
Santana's on it, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't get Fun Bill, but I'm
You're on the record, yeah,
on the record.
yeah.
So Elliot said, Stephen's been after me. He wants to put together a blues band. He
Wow.
wants to go out and play funky music.
Hmm.
So Elliot put Stephen and I together to write. And we said, now who are we gonna? We want a young guitar player
Mhm.
to play along with Stephen, so they can do duets together.
Right.
So I had heard and really loved Kenny Wayne Shepherd's music.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny was playing with Stevie Ray Vaughan's drummer.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know exactly who you mean, and I'm blanking on Chris Layton,
Chris Layton.
right? Who's a good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Kenny wanted to do it with us. So it was Kenny Wayne Shepherd and
Did Chris play drums?
Chris played drums.
Oh, cool.
And Kevin McCarthy on bass.
I'm not sure who
Kevin
that is.
McCormick on bass.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
He's Crosby, Stills and Nash's bass player.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Anyway, so that band, we rehearsed for a little, and then we were ready to go. There was another band that I was in that there weren't any hassles.
Right. That's nice.
There was no prima donnas,
Right.
there was no psychopaths.
Right. You didn't have a band full of junkies and
No.
acid heads.
No, I mean, the clearing all that stuff up.
Right.
It took me, after the Electric Flag,
Yeah.
took me 2 years to recover.
Did it really?
And I didn't play or I did
Yeah.
anything, no sessions or
Yeah.
anything. I was under care of a doctor and a nice place to live, and he got me straight. And to this day, I've never touched it. It's been 53 years.
God, congratulations, man.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
I knew it wasn't my,
Your cup of tea,
my
yeah.
cup of tea
Yeah.
or my destiny.
Yeah.
There was no destiny
Good.
at
Well,
all.
I'm glad. Well, you've outlasted a whole lot of people.
Well,
I mean, it's really amazing to me just how few, you and Nick and Charlie and Elvin, Corky.
We're sort of like turtles. We build a shell around us to protect us. We move,
Yeah.
we move slow,
Well,
we're
yeah.
happy to be
Fido, you guys have outlasted a lot of people. I mean, the whole thing of Canned Heat, and he's the last living guy in that band.
there. It's really freaky.
Yeah, it is freaky. Yeah.
But I just did a gig,
Last week. Yeah.
last week at a
Right.
club called the Write-Off Room, and
Right.
my new band with Jimmy Ravino, Rob Stone.
That's awesome.
Rob
Yeah, Rob
Stone-
was very helpful in
yeah,
getting us together here
Rob,
too. Yeah.
Rob is really
Really a good guy.
great
Yeah.
kid, and
Yeah.
call him Rob Stone was a big boss tone.
Yeah. I met him when he was still in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Chicago guy, even
Right.
though he's from the
Right,
East
because
Coast.
I knew about him from, he used to play with Dave Myers,
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
the bass player.
Yeah, sure.
Belos guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to just get into a little before I have to run here in a few, but I wanted to get into the thing of the Chicago Blues reunion, because was that your idea? That was your idea, right?
My idea to get, just to hip the world that we were learning the blues. We were lucky enough to be in Chicago at that special time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And we would listen to rock and roll. There was a group of us, and sort of misguided missiles,
Mm-hmm.
from different high schools,
Sure,
and kids, problem children.
Yeah.
We found this safe haven and a passport to freedom,
Right.
and it was the blues that we
Yeah.
found at the end of the dial we had discovered this great show, Jam with Sam,
Right.
and his theme song was Blue Nights.
Oh, Blue Lights. Blue
I'm
Lights. By
sorry.
Little Walter, yeah.
The Blue Nights was
Right.
an album I did
Right.
with Percy Sledge.
Yeah. Blue Lights is the Little Walter
Yeah,
song.
that's
Yeah.
in other words.
Right.
Percy Sledge was a great artist
Right.
that I worked with.
Yeah.
So Blue Lights, Little Walter, and it sent us into another world.
Yeah.
You know, a world that we couldn't explain.
Yeah.
It was all feeling, and it was all things going off in our minds and in our hearts, and the closest thing to our hearts
Yeah.
and soul.
And you guys were all teenagers.
We were all teenagers, so we formed a little group. Like we would go down to the south side and west side and strike up these amazing, beautiful relationships with the old masters,
Right.
like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters, and just to be able to talk to them was great enough.
Yeah.
But we actually got to, eventually, they let us play with them.
Right.
And they were kind enough. We were novices at first, but eventually we got it right.
Yeah.
You know, so
That must have meant so much when those guys gave you the nod.
well, it was actually
Yeah.
just like that when I was
Yeah.
playing with Muddy, right? And when I would walk into the club, Otis Spann
On
would
piano,
see me
yeah,
and
right.
say, "This is my chance to take a break, you know,
Right, and he'd get
this
you
kid, get this kid in here, and let him do whatever he does."
Right. Right.
So he called me up, and I would play, and the piano was on the bottom of the
Right. Below the
stage
stage.
was up
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and Muddy was up here playing,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And he immediately noticed the change in
Right.
the band,
Right.
and he'd be like he'd look down and he'd scowl, like
Really?
sort of scowl,
Yeah.
and that was not like Muddy, you know.
Right.
So eventually, after maybe 6 months of doing this and coming back for more and never giving up, it clicked, and I got it right,
Yeah.
and Muddy smiled
Yeah.
during one of the songs.
That must have been huge.
And that was it for me.
That must have been huge. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had not discovered, but I finally got it right.
Yeah.
I finally just fell right in.
Yeah. And you kind of realized how it all fit together
How it all
finally.
fits together. It's
Yeah.
not just you playing.
Right. It's a whole band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Well, and in a lot of ways, I mean, the way I see it is you guys kind of took that music, took guys like Muddy and Wolf and brought them to California.
Michael did that.
Yeah,
Michael
he did
hit
with
Bill Graham.
with Bill Graham. Yeah, brought B.B. King and Otis Rush and Muddy and
returning
Wolf.
the favor.
Yeah, and basically said, these are the guys you got to hire.
And they started playing
And
the
they started
Fillmore.
playing the Fillmore, and it revitalized their careers because they were on the edge of going under.
People were listening to more R&B then.
Right.
You know.
It was more Motown and Stax.
Right.
Yeah.
And which,
Yeah.
which of course I love,
Sure.
but the blues market has sort of fallen off.
It had fallen off for sure. Yeah. So I mean, you know, I look at you guys as kind of being the saviors in a lot of ways of a lot of the older guard and just turning, you know, the late 60s world, the hippie world, onto this music. And I mean, you know, that's how, you know, frankly, that's how I got into it. I got into it because I heard Paul Butterfield, I heard John Mayall, and eventually I heard Lil Walter and Sonny Boy and Muddy. And when I heard that, I went, this is what it is.
It got deeper and deeper.
It got way deep. And at that point I went, these are the guys that should be making millions of dollars.
That's right.
I mean, that's how I looked at it. And it was kind of like,
They were so wonderful, so nice.
yeah,
They took us in like to one of their family.
right.
We'd eat together.
Yeah,
You know, it was
yeah,
gig together, eat together, talk together.
right.
It was an extended family.
And with guys like Charlie and Elvin, they were practically living with.
Really,
a lot of the old
It was an
timers, yeah.
extended family.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I mean, I thank you for,
Mark,
I thank you for doing that. You know, I
You
thank
really-
you and your generation for really carrying it forward like you guys
you're
did.
a legend yourself, man.
Well, I don't look at myself like that. I just love music.
But you are. You're one
And
of the great harp
Well,
players.
thank you, and I love this music like I'm sure you do. I mean, one thing I always think about, I'm sure you've been there too, is that thing of when you would be walking down the street and you'd hear blues coming from one of those small clubs, and what that did to you.
And you just drawn in like magic.
Yeah, and I know Bloomfield talked about, you know, that he would
just sit out in front.
Yeah,
of
he
the
would sit out in
club.
front when he was 15 and he couldn't get in, and he just
sit there
kept
and
coming
listen
over.
from the door, from
Right.
the window.
Right, and eventually they let you guys in.
Yeah, they let us in. Who are these little pests that keep coming?
Right.
We never stop. We never stop coming.
But that's so great to me. That's just, you know, that's a beautiful thing, man. But, you know, yeah, I got a lot of admiration for all you guys, you know, doing what you did, and that somebody had to do it. I mean, you know.
We did a great gig together in San Diego with Nick,
Did you?
with you.
Oh, right. You talk about the one at the one that's this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gator by the Bay. That's
Yeah,
right.
Gator
You
by
were
the Bay,
there. Yeah, somebody just posted that actually. Yeah.
That was a good gig.
That was a lot of fun.
Nick was
man.
in good form.
Yeah, he was in great form. I gave him a copy of my book. This is one of my favorites. I gave him a copy of a book I wrote. It's called Big Road Blues, 12 Bars on I-80.
Wow.
It's about my road life, right?
Oh.
And I gave it to him and I go, so what do you think of the book? He goes, oh, it's great. Great bathroom read. Chapters are short. I love that. But thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It was really, really fun to get a chance to
pleasure,
hang
Mark.
with you, Barry.
Thank you for
Yeah,
doing this.
this will be great.